So people ask me, Ro, what is going on in Canada? I got my cousins, Keshav. He sends me a message from London. And he says, Ro, what is happening over there? Because the Khalistanis are out of control. They're fighting the Hindus. The Hindus are fighting the Khalistanis. You got pundits. That's basically like a preacher, a Hindu preacher. And he is inciting violence. You got the Sikhs going wild. You got and they're not, it's not the Sikhs. It's the Khalistanis. The Khalistanis maybe make up 1 to 3%, but they're extremists, okay? They're extremists. And Canadians ask me, what is happening? I don't understand, bro. What? You're from a shithole. Explain this to me. I go, okay, well, let me explain it to you. Number one, I'm born in England, so, I mean, it's third-hand knowledge at this point. My parents are raised in England. But what I can tell you for a fact is that Khalistanis rule by fear. They infiltrate the temples, the Gurdwaras, which is a temple, a Sikh temple. They infiltrate them, and they are pushing for an independent state. They want a created state. Now, I don't know if that enters into Pakistan, because undivided India, before the British chopped it up, in cahoots, by the way, with a lot of Indian leaders, right? They cut undivided India into Pakistan, Bangladesh, which was named West Pakistan, as far as I know. You can correct me if I'm wrong here. And they chopped it up, divide and conquer, standard thing, sectarian division, okay? Put the Muslims on one side, put the Hindus on the other. You got to remember, India's got 200 million Muslims. India's got one of the largest Muslim populations in the world. 200 Muslims live there. But in India, you're an Indian first. Just like in the United States, you're a U.S. citizen first. And then you're whatever community you are. You're an American, you're American. It's the same thing in India. You're an Indian first. And that's how you create cohesion. Now, Ujjal Dosanjh, who was a liberal MP, correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? But this guy's come out and he's been pretty annoyed. And he has said a silent majority of the Sikhs do not want to have anything to do with Khalistan. They just don't speak out because they're afraid of violence and violent repercussions. He lives in Vancouver, BC. He's now 78 years old. He's faced death threats from extremists, but remains unwavering in his determination to convince fellow Canadians that the overwhelming majority of the nearly 800,000 Sikhs in Canada do not support the Khalistani movement. I'd say less than 5%. Less than 5%, he emphasizes. So I want to make it clear here. These guys, they're basically gangsters, and you can see in this 2016 video that Mr. Jagmeet Singh, born Jimmy Dhaliwal, has tried to make disappear, but I myself, downloading videos for the last couple of years, storing and watching what's happening ever since they tried to literally remove my nuts by removing my bodily autonomy and not allowing me to be me and decide for myself what I'm going to insert into my back hole or front hole or whatever hole I want to choose to insert it into. I will not be bullied. I will not be coerced. I will not do as I'm told. I will live free and I will die free. So what does that mean? That means that I started paying attention, and this guy tried to scrub the internet, but I got it. I got the video. Here he is talking about how, hey, these are gangster ideas. And he's with Shamsher Singh. Shamsher Singh calling that, hey, we're only going to be able to create a Khalistan, an independent nation, which doesn't exist, by violent means. Now, I don't know about you, but political change through violent means, it starts with a T, right? It's a T word. I don't want to say it right here on the internet, but you know what I'm talking about.
How revolutionary they were to come up with these ideas. They're very, like I said, gangster ideas, right? They were ultimate revolutionaries.
One is about sovereignty explicitly and uncompromisingly. It endorses the superiority of our culture, our language, and our ideals.
And the RCMP saying they're cracking down with IMVEs, which is ideologically motivated violent extremism. So they're going to be posing. That's what the RCMP has said. They're going to be posing, creating honeypots to trap you online. Meanwhile, right in your face, we got Trudeau and Jagmeet. Trudeau, through his ineptitude and idiocy, encouraging, not understanding these are extremists, or maybe he does, but I don't think he does, personally. I think he's just a moron and doesn't understand at all. He's a maroon. But Jagmeet Singh knows better. And all these guys, they should know better. But what they've done, the net effect, is create and foment a radicalized, crunchy exterior that has violently bullied the majority And now, hey, if you dare say anything about Khalistan, you dare say anything against these Sikh extremists, and these are extremists. Got a lot of love for the Sikh faith. All right, I took my wife down to Ponta Sab. This is in 2012, right? This is where, anyhow, it's a whole other story, right? But it's a beautiful thing. It really is. But these extremists seek to radicalize a youth that doesn't have an identity. And notice that Khalistan is huge in the UK as well as Canada. Why? Because these youth they're confused. Am I Canadian? Have I lost my roots? Who should I marry? What am I? They don't ask the question, am I a male or a female, as so many young white Canadians do. Instead, they ask the question, am I Indian? Am I a Sikh? Am I white? What am I? And that is truly what I believe is the problem here. They don't understand that, forget about this. We're the human race and this is your country. Believe in your country. Be a patriot for your country. Stand up for your country. They're sick. And I do believe Trudeau is truly responsible. He's to blame. Ujjal Dosanjh, he continues over here. Trudeau is to blame. Why? Because Sikhs are mostly secular. Khalistanis are a tiny minority that people are basically afraid of. And now Trudeau's played up to them with his buddy Jagmeet Singh, and we're all being held hostage by their antics. By the way, in India, these clowns do not have a chance, as the CBI, which is basically like the FBI or CSIS or CSE, right? The Canadian equivalents of the FBI and CIA, they don't have a chance because the CBI cracks down on them. Because India's got to be a united country, just like Canada has to be a united country, just like the United States has to be a united country. A country has borders. The borders have to be enforced. We cannot bring millions of people here who refuse to be assimilated. Multiculturalism is a sham. It doesn't work. I don't want to dance the dance of my forefathers. I want to grind on the dance floor. That's what I want to do. I want to grind on the dance floor. All right, so Dosanjh continues, right? He says, Trudeau's most famous utterance on immigrants. You come here, you can be who you are. Nay, brother. Dosanjh says, I was arguing that this extra special emphasis on uniqueness, exclusive identities, that it would become a deterrent to political, cultural, and social integration. Ultimately, you need shared values. It's basic. You need shared values. How do you have a country? How do you have one nation under God if you do not have shared values? What is a country? A country must have an ethos. It must protect its borders. It must have an ethos. You must have patriotism. How do you have patriotism? Your brother is your brother regardless of his skin color. I went down to Cuba. I remember I've been once in my life. I don't really go on holiday much. I love Canada. I'm not really a big holiday guy. Holidays for me are staying within the country, visiting my patriots everywhere across this land. And I remember going down there, black, white, mixed race, whatever it was, it didn't matter. Because they integrated as Cubans. They really have that over there. It was interesting to me. It was eye-opening. Shared values. Ujjal pauses, and suddenly his lawyerly delivery of arguments becomes impassioned. Trudeau, sociologically and politically, is an idiot. And you can actually quote me. I really don't care, he says, because he's an imbecile in terms of understanding how you build nations, how you build countries. His vision of Canada, Trudeau's vision of Canada, a post-national state without a mainstream culture, deeply offends Ujjal. If we don't have a mainstream, then we're not really a people. We have a mainstream, he insists. We may not sing the same songs. We may not do the same dances. Why is it always about singing and dancing? I'm so sick of this. I'm telling you, they want to dress me up like a monkey and make me do a dance. And that is who I am because I'm brown. I'm a brown monkey. Make me dance, dance, monkey, dance. I won't dance. I will dance, but I'm going to grind. Our mainstream is in our values, he continues, how we treat each other, how we behave politically, how we behave on the street, how we vote, what we take into account when we vote. Voting on this eve right here of this American election happening right here. 1 year, hopefully less, we'll be voting to get Trudeau out. Jagmeet Singh, born Jimmy Dhaliwal, absolute endorser of political change through violent means by his association with this hugely Khalistani pro-movement that endorses political change through violence. And you know what? I got the full video. I've got all your videos, Jagmeet. I've been watching you. You're a fake. You're a liar. You've sold out to people. You're collecting your pension. That's all it's about for you. It's about cash and Rolexes. I wear a Casio. Well, 2 Casios. I wear Casios. You're wearing Rolexes. You're scum. You're a bum. And you got to go. All of you got to go. Trudeau, Jagmeet, you got to go. Thank you so much for being here. These people make me sick. Sick. Hey, play on words. Cheers.